Hi, this is Alex Skolnick of Testament and Metal Allegiance, and you're watching Army of One TV.
This is Mercyful Kate. I'm here with Army of One TV. We're in New York City at the Gramercy Theater on the last date of the Metal Allegiance tour. I'm talking to guitar extraordinaire Alex Skolnick. Alex, you're probably one of the busiest men in the arts right now. I don't say just music because you're really transitioning with editing a magazine. You're doing the Heavy Metal Summit. You're in the Alex Skolnick Trio, Testament, and now Metal Allegiance. How do you balance all of this? You were just telling me you just came you were on the road from January up until today, so.
Well, I'm never bored, which is a good thing. I'm not a big sports fan, with all due respect. Just a lot of my time is spent doing projects I like. And, as you mentioned, there's a number of musical projects. I pretty much haven't stopped being on the road since January. Buttoned with Metal Allegiance, because Metal Allegiance did a West Coast run. I went straight from there to playing instrumental fusion with the Stu Ham Band. Went to Europe with my trio, did a month over there for the first time, which was really fun. Did the Axes and Anchors cruise, also with the trio and giving workshops. Went straight to Slayer Testament for a little over a month, and then I had about 48 hours between that and Metal Allegiance on the East Coast, which wraps up today. And then, as you mentioned, there's the magazine Unbuilt, which I'm really excited about. That launches later this month, in April. And it's like I said, I'm not bored.
But tell me a little bit more about this Unbuilt Magazine. How did you get into that? Tell people what it is exactly, what we can expect from it.
Well, Unbuilt came together. There's a guy named Tom Bergovitz who is he's been a project manager for a bunch of labels, and he's also worked at magazines. And he's long had this dream of doing one of these high-quality print magazines. And if you go to certain bookstores, especially very cool independent bookstores like McNally Jackson in New York is one I go to. And you'll see all these art magazines where the photos are high quality and the writing is high quality. And he got myself and Randy Blythe together, and he knows we're both big fans, we're both big readers, and we write a lot. We've both written for the Talk House Music Journal. I've had a blog. Randy's a photographer as well. We've both written books. So. He just saw us as his editorial team, and we put together our debut issue, and it comes out this month. And I have to say, when he put it all together and I saw the layout, I was pretty impressed. Wow, this really looks like a magazine. Like, now I really get it, and I'm pretty excited about it. And it's in print, so you're not distracted by being online. I think eventually maybe some of the stuff will end up online. But we just want to try to bring back that experience of print and high quality.
Nice. I can't wait to take a look at that. And I love print, because it's just so much more tangible, to have feel the pages in your hands, actually turn them. So I'm glad that this is actually a print publication. I'm excited to see. I know you and Randy are both extremely intellectual, which ties into the next thing that I want to ask you about, the Heavy Metal Summit. Another thing that you're doing, I think, not many people know about that either. You did that out in Helsinki, Finland, with a couple of other really big names in music. And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there's a whole emerging academic movement that's centered around heavy metal, and it sounds a little odd at first, but there are actually a lot of academics who are metal fans and have sort of used it as a jumping point for studying, and everything from how maybe certain revolutions happened and might have been helped by heavy metal. For example, in the Eastern Bloc, there was heavy metal, but it was very underground. And more recently in Cuba, things are changing very fast in Cuba, and relations are normalized. But there's actually a big metal scene in Cuba. So there's that, but there's also, there are studies about, psychology and sociology, and is heavy metal a positive outlet for expression? And it is, and I did a talk on metal and education, and I find it interesting that there's sort of this anti-education reputation that metal has, and punk too. You think about the Ramones trashing a high school and rock and roll high school, Alice Cooper, School's Out Forever, but those are actually very smart musicians. Pink Floyd, even though it's not, they're an honorary metal band. I mean, the majority of metal bands love Pink Floyd. We don't need no education, but they were all architecture students, and there is the notion of heavy metal bands being like Beavis and Butthead, or the decline of Western civilization. There's these stereotypes. So I did a whole presentation, and actually my first presentation was at the University of Dayton.
Really?
There was a conference there. And that was on a smaller level, and then the Helsinki one was big. That's kind of the World Series of metal academia right now, and it's just been great. I've had a great time getting to know these people, and I relate to it because I grew up in an academic household. A couple nights ago, Metal Allegiance played New Haven, right, like practically on the Yale campus. That's both my parents have PhDs from Yale.
Wow.
So I'm an oddball, but it's like worlds coming together. So I'm enjoying being part of the metal academia movement.
I'm enjoying that you're part of it. There definitely needs to be something like that out there, because like you said, there's a lot of stereotyping. Even like you could think of a guy like Henry Rollins, who is extremely smart, and you listen to Black Flag and you wouldn't think that these street kids actually have something intellectual to say. So it's really great that your guys are, shining a positive light and debunking all the stereotypes and all of the negative persona that comes with it.
Point too, you could take a Black Flag tune, like TV Party,
Yeah.
all about just watching TV and tuning out and they're making fun of it.
Yeah.
You're kind of missing the point if you think that that's real. And definitely Rollins is a huge inspiration. I read his books, and I'm a big fan. And I admire musicians like him, Zappa. May he rest in peace.
Oh, man, yeah.
There was another one. Just very independent thinking, but very, very smart thinkers.
I agree for sure. And speaking of Rollins, now you have this is my follow-up question to that. You got a lot of special guests in Metal Allegiance, which is what we're here to talk about. Matter of fact, I think I just saw Bumblefoot wandering about here. Yeah, right. So we got a lot of cool ones. Would you ever think of collaborating with some more punk rock guys? I know you did a collaboration with Doyle, like maybe like Rollins or, Marky Ramone or anything like that.
I'm open to anything. I mean, sonically, I'm not really a punk musician. I mean, I'm sorry, my playing is more, and not that I don't appreciate it for what it is, but look, I think it can work. I love Iggy, for example, and at the Heavy Montreal Festival, the most recent one, Iggy was on the bill, and Testament and Lamb of God were on the bill as well. And I saw Iggy's set, and it was very well played. You know what I mean? It was just really good. And in the Rollins band, there were some really good musicians. In fact, the guitar player at one point reached out and sent me his solo CD, and I had no idea. I'm like, okay, he doesn't just play punk. And I think there was even a Johnny Rotten album that Steve Vai did a solo on. I think it was Public Image Limited, which is Johnny Rotten's Sex Pistols band. So it's not unheard of to have more instrumental type play. I guess you could you could say like studied players or whatever, working with punk musicians. Like, it could be interesting. And actually Rollins did a great track with it's kind of funny, it's Rollins and William Shatner with Adrian Ballou. who's like one of my favorite guitar players and really nice guy too. I've had the privilege to meet. And Rollins actually does a hilarious spoken word about this, and it was produced by Ben Folds, and so yeah, that would be really interesting. But Metal Allegiance is definitely more on the metal side of things, and it's a different lineup each tour. When we toured in the West Coast, we had Mark Osagueda on vocals, and he's kind of our go-to vocalist because he can cover for almost anybody.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Yeah, and people don't know, just from the Death Angel stuff, they don't really get his range. But we've done shows with just him, and he's covering Chuck Billy and Phil Anselmo and whoever. But ideally, we like to have at least two vocalists. So on the West Coast, we had Troy Sanders from Mastodon and Mark Osagueda, which was really awesome. And we had two bass players. We had David Ellison and Mark Mengi, who's the guy who put this all together. Two guitarists. We had myself and Phil Demmel from Machine Head, and Portnoy on drums. Sometimes when we do bigger shows, we'll have Portnoy and Benanti. When we did our album release show, we had him. So, it's always this great combination. So on this tour on the East Coast, it's Mike on drums, Dave Ellison's off with Megadeth, so Mengi's covering all the bass. So he's doing a great job with that. On guitar is Bumblefoot, and I'm having a great time playing with him. Like, I had no idea what this guy could do, And much more than just the guy that came into Guns N' Roses later. He's got a whole other thing. And on vocals we have Osagueda and Chuck Billy, and together they're great. And actually, these last two shows we've also had Chris Jericho, fresh off of WrestleMania.
Wow.
So and that's a lot of. He brings a lot of pizzazz.
Last question. Right now, music's pretty sad, in a sad state. Brian Johnson's not in AC/DC anymore. Rush retired. Lemmy's dead. On the bright side, Guns N' Roses back together, so like small blessings. But like, what are your thoughts of where music's going? I mean, you were here. You guys were right there after Metallica was born. You guys were there from the start. So, what's your thoughts on how music has progressed, where it's going? Any thoughts or concerns on the future?
I think there's sort of a dual existence happening. There's a duality, because on the one hand, record labels have gone out of business, record stores have gone out of business. There's a lot of debates over, is streaming the right way to go, and everything. Are we those who like physical recordings, especially vinyl? Are they they get accused of being old-fashioned and stuck in the past? But anyway, these massive changes, and yes, like you said, the bands are changing. A lot of the earlier generations of bands are getting older.
Right.
It's just crazy. I mean, I'm not just in heavy metal either. I mean, Merle Haggard just passed away yesterday.
Bowie.
Yeah, even if you're not a country fan, you got to appreciate his authenticity.
Absolutely.
Bowie, Glenn Frey. I mean, just it's it's pretty endless. And that's unavoidable, unfortunately. And we're going to continue losing a lot of the earlier generation of people. But at the same time, there is the passion for music is still there. Guitars are doing just fine.
Right.
I'm endorsed by a great company. It's called ESP.
Nice.
And they're doing great. I have other friends that are in the music world on the manufacturing side. If you ever go to this annual music trade convention called the NAMM show that many of us go to.
I think we've heard about it.
Yeah. It's a zoo.
Yeah.
It's packed. So I think what that tells you is that there is still interest in music, and there's younger and generations coming up that even though there are all these changes, the passion they appreciate the music. The passion is still there.
Yeah.
I think there's always going to be people that want to to do this and also want to do real music. So I think the essence of it, I think the interest in it is gonna outlast all these changes.
All right, definitely. So you see music, knock on wood, music's still healthy and it's going to live on, what you're saying, which is what I think
music
too.
Itself, yes. The business side, even though the financial system within streaming needs to be figured out, needs to be worked on. There is money being generated, and it's not it's not going to the artists, and that has to do with ownership of the music and these labels that have been around a long time. The labels that originally put out the music. So it's a big mess. That's why I prefer to focus on the music itself and do the best. I mean, you have to you pay attention to what's going on. But that's why I'm kind of happy not to be in the mainstream in a way, because it's really I don't envy those who have to be mainstream artists right now.
No, not at all.
I wouldn't mind the visibility and any benefits that come with a hit, but just to have to base your whole career around sort of that scene and that system, and coming up with just a homogenized product to exist as a musician, that doesn't sound fun to me.
So this has been great talking with you, Alex. Have a great time tonight on the stage. Really looking forward. Again, this is Alex Skolnick. He's a guitar player for Testament, Metal Allegiance. We're here at the Gramercy, and you guys are gonna kill it tonight. Look forward to the show.
Thanks, Katie.
All right, no problem. Thanks, Alex.